found out what a Nuzlocke is from Jaden Animations, I wanted to do one myself. I know I'm not the best gamer, but I do think I'm good at strategy and planning, so combining those skills can only mean good things, right? And after playing a casual run of Pokemon Black a while ago, I think I'm finally ready to start one. So today, I'm setting out on my very own Nuzlocke journey. I'll be using all the typical Nuzlocke rules and hoping for the best. If you want to see more Nuzlocke runs or just gameplay content in general, consider subscribing. It really helps out and lets me know what kind of content you guys want to see. Without further ado, here's the story of my first official Nuzlocke, and how it went very wrong very fast. The run started off normal enough with me picking my starter, Snivy, and then I absolutely destroyed both my rivals. Afterwards, we went to Professor Juniper, and I named my Snivy Noodle. After that, we head out to Route 1 for my first encounter. A Pat Rat. Not what I wanted, but it'll give me Dupes Claws for the later routes, so... Of course, in my first official Nuzlocke, I crit killed my first encounter. Anyway, we meet Team Plasma in Cumula Town and fight N, who is very quickly defeated thanks to my solo Noodle and the crit and Vine Whip. On Route 2, I finally caught a second Pokemon, a little pup I named Ralphie, after my IRL dog. Then, just outside Stridon City, we fight Bianca, who was a piece of cake, and inside the city, we fight Karen, who was also a piece of cake. After that, I went straight to the first gym, the Trio Gym, where no matter what your starter is, it will always counterpick you. Honestly, this fight was a lot easier than it had been for me in the past. Chili's Little Pup mostly used Work Up, so it didn't do much damage to Noodle. It did get a couple bites in, so I had to switch to Ralphie for the Panseer, especially considering Panseer is a fire type. And just like Chili's Little Pup, it also only used Work Up, so I got a lot of free Leers in before taking it out with 2 bites. I would like to point out that even with all the Work Ups, the Panseer's Incinerate only took just under half of Ralphie's health, so what was even the point, Chili? Badge 1 done. After that, I did some plot involving Team Plasma and the Fetus before catching a Purloin and named Melody in the Dream Yard. And yes, I spelled it with an E. It was by accident, but I honestly find it funny. Also, as a side note, Melody is now the second Pokemon on my team with a nature that does nothing to its stats, with Noodle being the other. And as a small spoiler, that ends up being a theme with a lot of the Pokemon I end up catching. At least 4 or 5 had one of those natures. I don't know the exact odds, and I know there's 5 natures that do that, but the odds of that have to be low, right? Moving on to fight Karen again with ease, and before continuing with the main story, I catch a P-Dub on Route 3, which I named Kentucky. Then I go to Wellspring Cave and fight Team Plasma again, with Karen this time, but he didn't really do anything, and try for my next encounter. In my casual run, I caught a Roggenrola in this cave, and I was really excited to catch it again. Aside from the Snivy line, the Roggenrola line is probably my favorite just from how good it is and how useful it was in my casual run. And this is where my run started going not wrong, but also not how I wanted it to go. Instead of a Roggenrola as my encounter, it was a Woobat. At least I had Unaware instead of Klutz, but I was admittedly a bit bummed to not get Roggenrola, hence why I named my Woobat Rog. At least the game made up to me by giving me a Timpole and Pinwheel Forest, which I obviously named Legs. On my way to the second gym, I ran into N again, who challenged me to another fight. Jeez, this guy's everywhere, isn't he? At least his fights are easy. After that, I did the gym puzzle of a book scavenger hunt, then I went to Lenora and her normal types with some freshly evolved Pokemon. And you won't believe this, but this gym was also stupid easy. Noodle was able to stall kill the Herdier with its own takedown and Leech Seed for a while before Ralphie came out and finished it off, and it did get a little scary when the Watchog used Retaliate, with Ralphie following up with Takedown, but he lived on 1 HP like a champ before I switched him out. Melody then came out and finished off the Watchog with ease. 2 down, 6 to go, and at this rate, it should be a breeze. Right after my fight, Team Plasma shows up and steals a super valuable Dragon Skull, so I work with the third gym leader to get it back, and fight an onslaught of Plasma Grunts and some random nature preservers for some reason. Luckily, this whole section was a breeze next to Kentucky, who was now a Tranquil. I finally catch the grunt that stole the skull and easily take him out with a Rog, the Woobat, since Kentucky was put to sleep by one of the nature preservers right before, and I didn't bother to wake her up before the fight. After that, Team Plasma is causing more trouble in Castelia City, specifically taking Bianca's Muna, so we have to deal with that before the next gym. And again, the fights are stupid easy. After that, it was on to the Bug-type gym, which was the first event to actually go wrong. The trainers themselves weren't much of a problem, aside from the button I accidentally pressed to make one spawn right in front of me, but the actual gym leader was rough. It started off alright with Kentucky easily taking out the Whirlipede. Then after the Dweeble used Smackdown and got her to half health, I switched to Rog, which... Honestly, I don't know why I didn't just immediately switch to Legs, since Double is also a Rock type, but it's fine, I didn't care much for Rog anyway. And besides, there's only one more Pokemon that... Oh. In my defense, I only stayed in with Legs to heal Kentucky and thought he could live one move before I brought Kentucky back out. How was I supposed to know that Lavendi would crit one shot with the Razor Leaf? I did bring Kentucky out after that, and she was able to take out Lavinia with a few air cutters, because Berg decided to be annoying and keep using hyper potions. Badge 3 down, but at a cost. You will be missed, Legs. Not you, Rug. You were the star of the bad run. Luckily, there were a few encounter spots ahead to fill my party back up. Before that, though, we had another Bianca fight, and while it was annoying at first because of all the super potions she used, it was nice to feel strong again after beating her. Afterwards, in Route 4, I caught a Darumaka named Frank, then I fought Karen again, which was also easy, thankfully. I went ahead to Nimbasa City after that to get more Pokeballs and repels, and ended up fighting Team Plasma again before I was completely ready, but it worked out. After that, I went to the Desert Resort and caught a Sandela named Nerd, and at Relic Castle, I caught a Yamaska named Mummy, both of which were great encounters for the upcoming fights. And even with everything else, the one thing I am happy with in this run is the end fight in Nimbasa City. While this is the first Nuzlocke I recorded for the purpose of making a video, it's not my first Nuzlocke altogether. I attempted a few throughout 2023, mostly for my own enjoyment. And all of them ended at this fight because of N's stupid Sigilith. If you watched my last Pokemon video, you've heard me complain about this fight already. I never had a good way to take care of it, and in the casual run I did before this Nuzlocke, it went out to a couple rock moves from my Boldore. Obviously, this time around I don't have a Boldore, since I caught a Woobat in Wellspring Cave, but I do have a Ghost type in Yamask and 2 Dark types in Liepard and Sandile. And lo and behold, that was enough to take it out. Honestly, I'm mostly just lucky that I hit Ominous Wind twice with Mummy. She lived a Psybeam on 1 HP, and then Sigilith's Whirlwind brought out Nerd of all my other Pokemon. Regardless of how the rest of this run goes, I'm at least happy I was able to beat that fight easily. After healing my moms, I immediately go to the next gym, Elisa and her electric types. Even in my casual run, this gym was a bit of a struggle, so I really had to plan how this one would go. Half the trainers have Emolgas, which is a flying type along with electric, meaning the typically super effective ground type moves do nothing. So even though I have a ground type in Sandile, it isn't a foolproof plan. Elisa herself has 2 Emolgas, so I really had to come up with something. And that something ended up being Frank, who had Fire Fang and Facade, which was a great combination for a gem that uses paralyzing moves. Along with Mummy, who had Will-O-Wisp and Hex, which, spoiler, was a strat I never used, it seemed like this gym would be as easy as some of the others. Oh, what a farce thought that was. While Frank was able to do a lot of damage with Fire Fang, the Emolgas continuously using Volt Switch made it hard to keep the damage. Not to mention that since Fire Fang didn't kill, Elisa just used a Hyper Potion to heal them. Frank was also quickly crit by a Volt Switch, so I couldn't keep using him as I had planned. I brought out Mummy and was able to take out one of the Emolgas with Will-O-Wisp and Ominous Wind, then I swapped to Noodle to try just getting neutral damage on Substrika, and unfortunately...
I'm so sad.
I completely forgot that Zebstrika had Flame Charge. And that was just the beginning. I brought out Kentucky after that, but her flying type moves didn't do a lot, and while she got the Zebstrika low, she ended up fainting to a Volt Switch, which didn't even help because Elisa healed it once it was back out, and then it killed Ralphie.
Are you actually kidding me?
And Melody.
I'm dumb. Am I actually about to wipe on the 4th gym?
And Mummy.
I guess I could have healed your mask and then...
Well, I probably could have won with Frank and then caught more Pokemon.
Oh, sure!
I didn't heal it properly, and Zebstrika ended up killing him too, which was the end of my first official Nuzlocke run. But you know what? I'm still going to consider it a successful run. I figured out how to easily code rare candies into my game, I found use in Pokemon that I hadn't seen use in before, and I overcame one of the biggest hurdles of my previous run with ease. I got the farthest I ever had in a Nuzlocke run, and really I don't think it was completely on me for how that 4th gym turned out. Sure, there were a couple plays I could have done better, like maybe healed Frank before the final Volt Switch before trying to attack, but all in all, I think I did really well in this run, and I learned a lot from it. I'll be keeping a lot of what happened here in mind for the next time, and hopefully, it'll result in me becoming the champion. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.